Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 138 based on novel. So let's start. Wang Lin's eyes were cold as he pointed to the air. The lion's figure trembled, then it turned into a strand of black gas, flew into 13 soul flag, and disappeared. This beast is passable as the primary soul for your 10 soul flag. However, remember that there are no tricks with the soul refining spell. You were able to seal it, but it was able to reject you. Let this be a lesson for you. After Wang Lin said those words, he turned around and returned to the depths of the valley. 13's face was full of shame as he looked at the flag in his hand and began to ponder. Time quickly passed, and 1 month of time quickly went by. All of the males in the village left in the middle of the night. Oyenghua and 13 were the vanguard as they took everyone directly to the cave. Wang Lin didn't follow and didn't even follow with his divine sense. This was a trial for them, and if they failed, that meant that they weren't qualified and Wang Lin would leave for ancient Demon City to find other opportunities. 5 days later, while Wang Lin was cultivating inside the depths of the valley, he opened his eyes. Soon, loud noises could be heard from the distance as a long line of people rushed toward the valley along the winding path. This long line was formed by people not from the village, and their faces were filled with fear. There were males and females among them, and they were all in their prime. Their hands were tied together by rope, and there were 7 people per line. Every line was carrying a log which their hands were bound to as they slowly moved forward. Oyenghua walked in the front and was covered in blood marks. Although he looked fatigued, there was excitement on his face. The people of the village moved on the side of this line. If any of the prisoners moved too slowly, the villagers would go up and yell at them. 13 walked at the end of the line. His entire aura was completely different from before. He was no longer as proud and seemed much more calm. There was a determined look on his face now. He walked behind the line with several people around him. However, they all kept their distance and had looks of respect in their eyes. It can be said that 13 was able to show off big time during this battle. With him and Oyenghua working together, they were able to bypass the formation and catch the enemy off guard. The enemy's elder was devoured by the lion 13 summoned right at the start. He then used the soul refining spell right there in front of the enemy to refine the enemy elder's soul and seal it inside the soul flag. At the same time, Oyenghua wasn't slow either. He quickly refined the souls of the people that died in the battle and sealed them. This scene was a big shock to the enemies. This long line quickly arrived inside the valley. Then all the women immediately took out wooden buckets from their houses like they were very used to this. There was green liquid inside the buckets, and it was still bubbling. It gave off a bad smell. Every outsider's head was pressed into a bucket and they were forced to drink some of this green liquid. After drinking the liquid, they immediately revealed confused expressions. Then some villagers took them away and whispered something into their ears. When Wang Lin's divine sense saw this, he wasn't surprised at all. He had learned from Lu Yun's memories that Lu Yun's ancestor said that the only way for these small tribes to gain more members was to force their captives to drink a bowl of memory-wiping soup. The effect of this soup was to make the person forget everything, and then someone would whisper the person their new name and current situation of the tribe. When that person awakened, they would be a new member of the tribe. There wasn't anything special about this soup in Wang Lin's eyes. It was far inferior to something like a charm spell. If anyone with cultivation drank this soup, it would basically have no effect. Oyenghua quickly rushed toward Wang Lin. When he was still pretty far, he respectfully bowed and said, "Junior Oyenghua wishes to greet Supreme Celestial." After receiving Wang Lin's approval, Oyenghua quickly entered the depths of the valley. From far away, he saw Wang Lin sitting in the lotus position. He arrived before Wang Lin and took out an item. Then he respectfully said, "Supreme Celestial, Junior found the demon crystal from the enemy tribe to give to Supreme Celestial." Wang Lin's eyes lit up, then he waved his hand and the demon crystal flew from Oyenghua's hand to his. He carefully looked at this black rock. There was nothing special about this crystal, and it looked rather rough. Wang Lin squeezed his right hand and the black rock immediately shattered, revealing a demon crystal the size of his thumb. Rank 2 Demon Crystal. Wang Lin looked at the crystal for a short moment before devouring it. Ouyang Hua had his head down and remained silent. He had been showing an expression of respect the whole time. After devouring the demon crystal, it quickly fused with the demon crystal inside Wang Lin and became a rank 5 demon crystal. Wang Lin looked at Ouyang Hua before slapping his bag of holding and taking out a piece of jade. After sweeping it with his divine sense, he threw it at Ouyang Hua and said, "You guys only have the chance for the first 3 stages. Unless one has achievements, they don't get more. You returned with the demon crystal, so I'll give you the 4th stage. Study it well and don't teach it to others, or else I'll definitely take it all back." Ouyang Hua suppressed the excitement in his heart. After accepting the jade, he quickly left. After he left, Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he muttered to himself, "It seems like this was the right step." As the village slowly grows and absorbs the surrounding tribes, the amount of demon crystals I will be able to obtain will increase as well. In addition to this, the more people the tribe has, the more people there will be to cultivate the soul refining spell. That means I'll be able to recover the 1 billion soul flags full strength sooner. Right now Wang Lin was raising soul fragments. All of the soul fragments being refined by the people cultivating the soul refining spell could become his with just a thought. There will be a day when the time is right for Wang Lin to collect all of the souls, and the 1 billion soul flag will become whole once more. The population of the village suddenly increased a few-fold. The number of males was now over 50. The females were divided among the villagers, and a few of the beautiful women were gifted to Wang Lin by Ouyang Hua, who was greedy for merits. However, he got the cold shoulder this time. Those new tribe members all began to cultivate the soul refining spell. There was now an air of cultivators in the valley. Aside from the people who went out to hunt every day, everyone else was focused on cultivation. There were even some women who started cultivating. At first Ouyang Hua was against this, but after being yelled at by Wang Lin through a message transmission, he quickly changed this attitude and openly supported women cultivating. As a result, everyone in the valley besides the children, no matter whether they were men or women, started to cultivate like crazy. It was easy to start learning the soul refining spell, and adding on the strength of 13 and Ouyang Hua, these two soon became everyone's goal. Time silently went by, and in the blink of an eye, half a year passed. During these 6 months, the people of the village went out a lot. They went out in groups or by themselves, all to either make their own soul flags or to kill beasts so that they could refine the souls. Aside from 13, 4 more people reached the 3rd stage in these 6 months and needed to make their soul flags. Everyone knew Wang Lin's rule by now. If they wanted the chance for stages beyond the 3rd stage, they had to gain merits, and there were only 3 ways to do so. The first was to hand over demon crystals, the second was to find clues of foreigners, and the third was to make at least 10 soul flags, and at least 4 of the flags had to have a primary soul inside. If anyone was able to do any of those 3 things, Wang Lin would award them the 4th stage chant. As for the 5th stage chant, the requirements were even more strict. At this point, only Ouyang Hua had met the conditions of obtaining the 4th stage chant. Even 13 has only refined 7 soul flags. What was the difficult was the primary souls. As of now, he only had 2 primary souls, and the second one was the elder of the enemy village that he refined half a year ago. As a result, the call for attacking another tribe became louder and louder. Only by attacking other tribes could there be demon crystals, primary souls, and large amounts of soul fragments. It has to be said that Ouyang Hua's words came true. Every 5,000 years when the foreigners arrived, they would bring a bloodbath to the demon spirit land. Just because of Wang Lin's arrival, this valley went from a quiet village to one filled with aggression to invade other tribes in order to gain the higher level chants. As the cry for war became louder and louder, a new crusade finally began. This time it didn't matter if it was man or woman. Aside from a few who were left behind to take care of the children, almost every villager left. They weren't all going to attack one place, they were going to split into 3 groups to attack 3 different tribes. This was the only way to satisfy their needs, because if they all attacked the same tribe, there would be no way to split the demon crystals and primary souls. No one in the demon spirit land noticed that there was a force growing in power, because no one would bother to check these tribes in the wasteland. Not even any of the foreigners would decide to stay with the tribes like Wang Lin did. They had all gone to different countries and obtained different positions. In order to get military exploits and an ancient demon, they began a bloodshed that would last for 500 years. The people of the village were extremely well prepared for this attack. Ouyang Hua led one group, 13 led the second, and the other villagers who were also at the third stage led the last group. After half a month, only 13's group didn't return. Although there were some casualties, their rewards were very good. However, because 13's group didn't return, there was a dark cloud over everyone's hearts. Only Wang Lin's expression remained normal without any change. 3 days later, a black cloud appeared outside the valley. If one looked closely, they would see that it was a lion with wings. Although there were no injuries on its body, it was very weak. Every now and then it would turn into a black cloud and then form back together. It was on the verge of collapsing. There was a person lying motionlessly on its back, and he was covered in wounds. There was also a very strange-looking, red line moving around inside the person like a parasite. The lion primary soul quickly charged toward the valley. As it got closer, several people quickly appeared, took out their soul flags, and fed soul fragments to the lion. This caused the lion's energy to immediately increase. After seeing the lion, almost everyone immediately recognized that this was 13's lion and that the person on its back which was clearly 13. After the lion primary soul entered the valley, it let out a cry, then it shattered into specks of black light and was about to completely collapse. Just at this moment, a calm voice echoed in the valley. Soul condense. With that, the specks of black light shined brightly and quickly condensed back together. In the blink of an eye, it returned back to normal. All of the villagers revealed respectful expressions and opened a path. Wang Lin walked through with his hands behind his back. After the lion primary soul saw Wang Lin, it began to cry as if it had been extremely wronged. Wang Lin's finger reached out, causing the lion to let out a cry of joy and rushed toward Wang Lin's finger. Finally, it disappeared on his finger and a lion-shaped mark appeared on his fingertip. The surrounding people were all used to Wang Lin's control over soul fragments, so none of them were shocked at all, and they had their heads down respectfully. Wang Lin walked step by step and arrived next to 13. After he lowered his head to take a look, his expression darkened. He saw a red line moving like a dragon through his body. 13's face was pale and had no breath at all. Wang Lin knelt down and gently pressed his right finger on 13's chest. A sharp cry suddenly came out from the body, and at the same time, a red line charged out from where Wang Lin pressed and shot directly at him. Wang Lin's eyes became cold, and an invisible force appeared around his body. There was a loud bang as if the red line had hit a steel plate, and it was forcefully knocked back. At this moment, Wang Lin moved his hand and caught the red line. With one pull, there was a loud cry, and the red line was pulled out of 13's body. This red line was longer than 10 feet and it moved around like a snake. The other end moved toward Wang Lin but was once more stopped. The coldness in Wang Lin's eyes increased, and the celestial spiritual energy inside his body surged like crazy. He squeezed hard, and after a series of popping sounds, the red line shattered to dust in 3 breaths of time. After the red line disappeared, 13's face slowly became red. Although 13 was still extremely weak, his condition was no longer life-threatening. However, Wang Lin's expression became even darker. He was able immediately see that 13 had been wasted. The 3 stars of demonic spiritual energy 13 had gathered from cultivating the soul refining spell were all gone. If that was only the case, it would be fine, but all of the meridians in his body were shattered and all his soul flags were stolen. The enemy acted so viciously but didn't kill 13. Instead, he let the lion bring 13 back, meaning that that person clearly had other objectives. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he pointed his finger toward 13's forehead. The demon crystal inside his body activated and a strand of demonic spiritual energy entered 13's forehead. 13's body trembled, then he suddenly opened his eyes and saw Wang Lin. He wanted to get up to pay his respects, but he found that he couldn't move, and pain washed over his body like ocean waves. 13 struggled to open his mouth. In his current state, he accidentally called out what he always considered Wang Lin in his heart. Master. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, but he didn't speak. On the way back, we met a large tribe. We tried to go around them, but they still attacked us. There was a white-robed man who took my soul flag and planted that demon inside me. He left me a message saying that if you want the soul flags back, then all you have to do is find him. Wang Lin nodded, then he raised his finger, and at that moment, 13's body trembled before he passed out again. Take him to rest? After Wang Lin left those words, he took one step and disappeared. The surrounding tribe members quickly moved 13 away, and there was someone else there to take care of him. After Wang Lin left the valley, he moved like lightning toward the distance. His expression was gloomy and his eyes were cold. 13 originally went out to attack another tribe. If he had failed and died, Wang Lin wouldn't have cared at all. Life and death were all part of life, and as someone who cultivated the life and death domain, Wang Lin was very clear on this. However, this was not the case here. 13 was on his way back when he passed by another tribe and was attacked. The enemy also didn't kill 13 but planted a demon inside his body. If that was it, that would have been fine as lesson, but they also shattered his meridians and even said that if he wanted the soul flags back, he had to go find them. As a result, the meaning had changed. This was taunting, or it could be said to be a challenge letter. 13 became someone's living challenge letter. Since this person sent the challenger letter, Wang Lin wanted to see what kind of person was living in that tribe that dared to challenge him. Wang Lin was very intelligent. If this person's cultivation level was much higher than his, he would just head back to the village, find a way to heal 13, and then just avoid this tribe. Although there was a chance of this, it was very low. From what Wang Lin saw from the spell used on 13, the person was only around the soul formation stage. Thinking about this, he let out a cold snort and moved even faster like a meteor across the sky. The Heavenly Water Tribe lives in a large plain in the northwest side of the Demon Spirit Land. There is flat land surrounding the area, and originally it was not a great place to live, but an ancient formation exists here. This formation is very powerful. When it is activated, everything within 5 kilometers is safe. Even during the night of demonic spirits, it is completely safe inside. The key to survival for a tribe in the Demon Spirit Land is whether or not they can find a formation to protect themselves with. There are many of these formations in the Demon Spirit Land, but there aren't many that can cover 5 kilometers. The larger the area the formation can cover, the stronger the formation. It also means that the tribe that lives here has more room for growth. For example, the valley is only so large, so once the population reaches a certain size, they won't be able to get new people. This formation on the plain is 5 kilometers wide, so more people can live inside. 2 old men were sitting inside a very simple house in the Heavenly Water Tribe. One of them was wearing grey and the other was wearing white. Between them was a purple tea set. The white-robed old man picked up a cup and took a drink. Of all the things the foreigners brought, only this tea suits my tastes. The grey-robed elder picked up a cup and also took a drink. When are you going back? The white-robed old man pondered a bit and said, tomorrow. I can't leave the ancient demon city for too long. I already stayed for a month for a visit home. If I stay any longer it will be difficult to explain to the general of the left wing. The grey-robed elder nodded and said, you injured someone's disciple and took their strange little flag. If they come knocking, what should I do? The white-robed old man's eyes lit up and he said, what do you mean what you should do? Just use the formation to kill that person. The grey-robed old man frowned and then said, in a serious tone, those people weren't simple. Almost all of them had 1 star of demonic spiritual energy and had all learned demonic spells, especially the person leading. With those little flags, he was able to control demon spirits to attack. At first they were going around us, but you became interested in his little flag. Not only did you kill them to take the treasures, but you even let the leader go as a challenge letter to lure the person behind him out. What you did was a bit too much. The white-robed man laughed and said, I'm a guard of honor under the general of the left wing of ancient demon city. How could killing a few savages be considered too much? Also, I deduced that the person behind them isn't strong. Why would that person still be around here in a tribe? He would have already gone to ancient demon city to get a better position if he was powerful. I lured him here because I want to obtain the method of using this small flag from him. If he comes, it will be good. If not, I'll follow the mark I left on the young man and steal it. The grey-robed old man asked, is the chant from the young man's mind fake? The white-robed man's eyes lit up and he said, with a dark tone, it isn't fake, but it is not complete, there should be more. The grey-robed old man silently pondered. He didn't have a good opinion of his fellow tribe member who went to ancient demon city and got a position there. Shortly after, just as he was about to open his mouth, the ground started trembling as if there was a giant dragon moving underneath. Then loud rumbling came from the 5-kilometer-wide area of the tribe. The white-robed old man's face sank and then he walked out of the room. There was a person floating in the sky. He was wearing a white robe that was flowing in the wind, and his long hair flowed behind his head, giving off a demonic aura. He was Wang Lin, who came in anger. At this moment, Wang Lin's eyes were cold, and the celestial spiritual energy in his body was surging as he floated in the air. He took one step and a shockwave echoed across the area. The 5-kilometer-wide area below him showed signs of collapsing, and cries of shock and terror came from below. However, at the moment the ground began to collapse, a green ripple appeared from the 5-kilometer-wide area. The ground immediately returned to normal and a powerful force charged directly at Wang Lin. Wang Lin let out a cold snort as he raised his right thumb and pressed it down. He increased the power of the death finger to its peak. This finger caused the surroundings to be covered in a death aura, even the sky dimmed and showed signs of collapse. His thumb pressed down and collided with the ripple in the sky. The waves of ripples immediately began to curve and move around Wang Lin's finger as he pressed down. It was as if there was suddenly a fork in the river, forcing it to split to two sides. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he shouted, break! With one word, a black light shined from Wang Lin's finger. The ripples immediately collapsed, and this quickly spread until all of the ripples dissipated. Wang Lin floated in the sky and coldly looked at the tribe below him. Everyone within the 5-kilometer-wide area walked out of their houses and raised their heads to look at him in terror. Wang Lin wasn't one to kill indiscriminately. Among these people, two of them caught his attention. These two were both old men, one was wearing grey and the other was wearing white. At this moment, the grey-robed old man's heart felt very bitter, and he let out a sigh of regret. This time they had messed with a person they shouldn't have. The fact that this person could negate the rebound force from the formation with just one finger meant that his cultivation wasn't weak. As for the white-robed old man, he was in shock. His gaze toward Wang Lin was filled with disbelief. Why would such a powerful person appear in this land of savages? His cultivation level is about the same as the elder in the general's manor. I'm afraid I'm not his match. Wang Lin's eyes were cold as he slowly said, who sent me the challenge letter? Come out. His voice was calm at the start, but when it descended to the ground, it roared like heavenly thunder in the surrounding 5-kilometer area. The grey-robed old man suddenly turned completely pale, his body swayed back, and he took a few steps back. Then blood leaked out from the corner of his mouth, and the shock in his eyes reached its limit. The white-robed old man was barely able to stand still. He clenched his teeth and shouted, "Who are you?" "I'm the deacon of the general of the left wing in ancient demon city." Wang Lin's cold gaze fell on this person and he coldly said, "It should be you. I can feel the aura of the soul flag on you. You are dead." The white-robed old man's heart trembled as he clenched his teeth and said, "Yes, it was this old man who took those small flags. If you have the skill, then break the formation and take them." Wang Lin coldly looked at the old man and calmly said, "Do you think this formation can stop me?" Wang Lin touched his bag of holding and a giant, heaven-splitting axe that was glowing black appeared in the air. The moment the giant axe appeared, Thunderous roars came from the sky, and balls of lightning appeared around the axe. The white-robed old man's pupils suddenly shrank, and the grey-robed old man exclaimed, "Foreigner!" Wang Lin's expression was cold as he grabbed the heaven-splitting axe and swung down at the speed of lightning. A ray of axe energy 100 feet long fell on the formation along with several balls of lightning. There was a bang so loud that even the people in the valley were able to clearly hear it. Wang Lin didn't stop with one swing. He continued to swing the axe down on the formation like a primordial demon war god. The white-robed old man's face was completely pale, and the regret in his heart had reached its limit. Green light flashed violently around the 5-kilometer-wide area. Every time the axe fell, the flashes of green light would negate the axe's power and even absorb some to increase the formation's strength. As a result, it created an endless cycle. This formation wasn't just a little bit stronger than the one around the valley. After enduring for a few breaths of time, the white-robed old man finally let out a breath of relief. His expression gradually returned to normal as he looked at Wang Lin, who was still swinging the axe, and sneered. "How could the formation here break because you say it will break?" The grey-robed old man next to him also let out a sigh of relief. He was very clear on the power of the formation, and right now it seemed like the foreigner was not powerful enough to break it. Wang Lin's expression was still cold. The power of this formation was beyond his expectations. He backed up and he stared at the formation. "I won't be able to break through this formation by force in a short period of time, and even if I used restrictions, it would take a very long time to study it." As if he had seen through Wang Lin's concern, the white-robed old man laughed and said, "Even if you have heavenly spells, this formation is not something you can break. I suggest you quickly leave before you humiliate yourself any more." Wang Lin coldly looked at the person, revealed a hint of contempt, and coldly said, "Really?" With that, he threw the axe. His target wasn't the formation, it was the edge of the 5-kilometer area the formation covered. The axe moved like lightning and suddenly landed on the edge of the 5-kilometer area, causing a loud bang. Because it was outside the formation, the axe left a deep ravine on the ground like it was cutting through tofu. Wang Lin raised his right hand, pointed at the ground, and drew a circle. There were more rumbling sounds as the axe moved underground at a very fast speed under Wang Lin's command. It moved around the formation and dug out a large circle around it. The white-robed old man was startled, as he wasn't sure what this foreigner was doing. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he took a deep breath, raised his hand, and shouted, "Rise!" This word was like thunder when it shot out from Wang Lin's mouth. A mysterious power suddenly surrounded the area covered by the formation, and it began to tremble violently. Wang Lin shouted once more, "Rise for me!" The veins on his arm bulged out as he raised his arm. A series of thunderous roars came out from underground like never before. At this moment, a shocking scene unfolded. The area surrounding the formation was dug out from the ground by an invisible hand and was lifted into the air. Waves of dirt and dust were kicked up, and the surrounding area was immediately covered in dirt. When the dirt seemed to have calmed down, it could be seen that the 5-kilometer-wide land was floating several dozen feet off the ground, and a large amount of dirt was falling from it. A giant basin had suddenly appeared on the ground. Earlier, Wang Lin controlled the axe to dig out these 5 kilometers of land. This allowed him to raise this land into the air with a spell. The inhabitants of the village all screamed in fear. They had never seen something like this in their lives, and it was beyond their imagination. The grey-robed old man's body became soft and fell to the ground. His face was completely pale, and the fear in his eyes returned once more. This person is a madman. All foreigners are madmen. He dug the land the formation protected out from the ground. The white-robed old man's body was trembling. He could have never imagined this foreigner would think of something like this. The coldness in Wang Lin's eyes was strong. He couldn't break the formation quickly, but he could refine it. He held the land with his hand before letting out a roar and throwing it into the air. The floating land mass suddenly flew up at a quick speed. Waves of cries of fear echoed once more. Wang Lin's body moved like lightning and he appeared under the land. He held up this 5-kilometer wide area like a giant and began walking forward. If anyone was around, they would see a mysterious scene they would never forget in their life. They would see a white-robed young man holding a 5-kilometer wide land mass quickly walking away. His speed was very fast, so after several hours, he saw the valley from a distance. The people of the valley quickly came out with Ouyang Hua leading the way to greet Wang Lin. However, they were all shocked when they saw the 5-kilometer wide piece of land Wang Lin was carrying and the green light of the formation that surrounded it. This video will end here.